Burns. What do you think that means for George Masvidal? What do you think will be next for him? Where do you think he goes from here? What's the big deal if he fights Gilbert Burns? So what? That was kind of between the two of them. And the crowd wasn't like demanding that. You love Gilbert Burns and you love George Masvidal. You put them together and it seems to make sense. You got a good night there.
Gilbert Burns returning against Jorge Masvidal. Of course, both guys train out of and live in the Miami area. BC, if they actually do end up making this fight, and by the way, UFC President Dana White announced it, but I'm saying it goes through, what does this fight mean for each competitor, and what does the result mean for the division?
Given their stature, given the huge win Gilbert Burns had in terms of staying in line in contendership because he was unable to land bigger opponents yet, dude, he mopped up on Neil Magny. I think obviously from a distance you go, okay, this is a celebrity pseudo #1 contender fight. And if we are going to have visions of potentially inserting Masvidal back into a title fight, which I believe could only truly happen if Edwards is the defending champion at that point, given their history, I like that the UFC essentially comes out and says, you know, all right, we can't just do it on name power alone anymore. You already had 2 of those, right? We got to go in the direction of you got to be the top guy.
My brother Gilbert, number love and respect. I think you're a great fighter, but I'm gonna do you just like I did this meet, my brother. You're gonna get cooked April 8th. I see everybody.
You know, nobody wants to have 4 losses in a row on their record. And when you're at 3 in a row and you take on a guy like Gilbert Burns, it's a possibility. It is a potential. But with great risk comes great reward. Because if he can beat Gilbert Burns, then all of a sudden, the man's back in contention. This sport is all about what have you done for me lately. You're only as good as your last fight. And granted, his last 3 didn't go his way. But he beat Gilbert Burns, who's the belle of the ball right now after what he just did against Magny and what he did against Khamzat Chimaev. Everybody loves Gilbert Burns, and rightly so. If he can beat him, then all of a sudden he is right back in contention. And let's remember, Leon Edwards is the champ. There is a storyline with Leon Edwards and Jorge Masvidal which goes back to the Darren Till fight 2019, the infamous 3-piece in a soda. Leon was talking recently. He wants to fight Masvidal. He wants revenge. He wants to get him back. Right?
Cool. I'm gonna put my shoes on, I'm gonna go run, I'm gonna go do everything else. But in the back of my mind, I realize this is not a career-making fight. This is not being identified as a #1 contenders fight. This is a potential career-ending fight. You go from title fight to main event to co-main. You keep going down the card. You go a couple more rungs, you're packing your bags. You're talking about the good old days like old Chael's doing. That's just his business.